There we go. Are we live now? Yep. Cool. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the candidate question time of the 2022 spring elections. The candidate question time will be for all students running for positions specific to our Swansea and Carmarthen campuses, as well as our cross-campus roles. These positions include our Swansea and Carmarthen campus president roles, the corresponding part-time officer positions, as well as the group president, union chairperson, and student trustees. The event is being live streamed, so please be mindful of this. All in attendance should ensure we remain respectful and stay quiet while other candidates are speaking. I will be the host for this event today. My name is Liam Powell. I am the Swansea campus president. I have met some of you are new faces, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. The format of this event will be the following. Candidates for each respective positions will be invited to speak and to answer a series of questions. The discussion will begin with a 45-second introductory statement from the candidates. The candidate may use less time, but must not exceed the full time. I will indicate when you have a 5-second warning. Following this, the candidate will be asked a series of questions relevant to the role and at least one fun question. There will be an opportunity for the audience to ask questions. These should take no longer than 45 seconds each. Again, candidates may not wish to use the full allotted time, but I will indicate given 5 seconds again, and you can't go over that time. To finish, candidates will have a 30-second closing speech. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone of the candidates in this election. So for Swansea Campus President, we have Jamie Vaughan and Ross Shattuck. For Swansea Part-Time Officers, we have for Volunteering and RAG Officer, Amy Knight. For Carmarthen Campus President, we have Tyre George Gibbons. For Carmarthen PTOs, we have Claire Magabo. For Black Students Officer, Wellbeing Officer, Laura Wilson. And for the cross-campus roles, we have for Student Trustee, Michael Curtis and Cameron Reardon Davis. Union Chairperson, we have Dima Suarez, Linda Violet Peters, Margarita Mandalova, Maria Michael, Mihail Nolchov, and Nicola Chakrachev, I believe. I'm sorry if I have butchered anyone's name. And Group President, we have Rebecca Palmer and Vanessa Liverpool. And all roles also have our good friend Ron, which means reopen nominations. So that basically means that the election will be reopened to nomination, and you will be able to nominate other people and do another election, basically. All the candidates have been invited to attend this event. So, one sec, my computer has frozen, which is perfect. So if we start with the president roles, if we could do the Swansea campus presidents first. 1 second, I just want something for clarification. Okay, cool. So if we could have a intro speech from Jamie, you'll have 45 seconds. If you want to unmute whenever you're ready, I'll give you a 5-second warning when that time's coming up.
All right, so hello, I'm Jamie Vaughan. I'm coming up to the end of my level 6 in film and TV. I am a father of 1, if you don't include the furry kind of children. And I'm currently 22 years old, and hopefully I didn't really plan this introduction, to be honest. So that's all I've got. Like,
No worries at all. You're more than welcome to not use up the 45 seconds. That's absolutely fine. And then if we could have Ross.
Am I good to go?
You're good to go.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ross Shattuck. I'm a third year and considerably mature student. I'm seeking a role that provides me with a great responsibility and purpose, such as to make student life better for everyone. I'm an excellent listener, so you will get my undivided attention at all times. I have a passion for the well-being of animals. As you can see, my dog is behind me. And the splendor of nature. I stand for fairness and justness towards every person. Hence, I'll continue to challenge the overpricing hot drinks and food relating to the cafeteria. As most of us are financially hard-pressed living on our student allowances, I would argue that the cafeteria primarily exists to essentially serve students and not for high profit making. Thank you.
Grand, thank you, Ross. 1 second. Okay, so now I'm going to go through to ask you guys some questions that we have for you. Like I said, you'll have 45 seconds to answer the questions, and I'll give you warning when when you're coming up to that time. So if we start again with Jamie and then go to Ross. What is your main priority if elected into the role?
my main priority is more or less educating myself on the issues of students, where I could easily lie and say that I'm entering the role knowing everyone's issues, but as someone who is definitely outside of a lot of the demographics that a student body covers, I'm more guaranteeing the education of myself to learn how I can help more than anything else.
Grand, thank you, Jamie. And Ross, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you happy to answer?
Oh, I got it. Yeah,
Cool.
That's great. So I want to know from every individual of other matters that are hindering any student's ability to reach their full potential, which I've experienced personally, but that's my own personal experience. I want to hear yours. To essentially make your time at university an enjoyable and rewarding experience. So talk to me and I will listen.
Grand, thank you, Ross. Next question. What skills and experience do you believe you can bring to this role? If we start with Jamie again and then go to Ross.
So I'm a stand-up comedian, and a lot of the time it isn't just about telling the jokes. It's more about reading the room and understanding what the audience come here for. When 9 times out of 10 it is going to be for a laugh, but a lot of times for escapism and more or less dealing with their issues through obviously through a tangible means. And what I can bring is just the sort of approachable side of a comedian to obviously the leadership role. Don't get me wrong, I've gone no leadership experience whatsoever, but I've got experience in handling a crowd and just generally like lighting up the room.
Thank you, Jamie. And same question for you, Ross.
Well, I've got much experience work-wise. Before I enrolled into becoming a full-time student, I worked in business development, and a lot of it was liaising with a lot of people in the hierarchy of management to your sort of average employee like I was at the time. So my skill set is problem solving. So when I hear what matters are on your mind, I will then research and look into finding that problem and solving it.
Thank you. Next question is, what are the challenges that you think you'll face next year if you're elected? Jamie, then Ross again.
One of the biggest challenges I believe is trying to maintain a not more or less maintain obviously the promises I've made in my manifesto, but it's overall trying to achieve satisfaction from every demographic of students. As of course I'm, like at most I can just be classed as a parent, but where I'm trying to deal with students that suffer from issues that I've never even thought about is gonna be my greatest challenge. But of course, like I'm up for it. Like,
Grand, thank you, Jamie. And Ross?
It's an interesting question because there are going to be hurdles that are going to be anticipated, but some hurdles that are not going to be anticipated, such as life. So my honest answer would be to wait for these hurdles to appear, in whichever shape or form, and then it would be my responsibility and role to overcome them and hopefully achieve some resolution.
Grand, thank you. We're getting there. Only 3 more questions left, guys. You're doing a really good job. What practical steps as campus president will you take to ensure that students of all backgrounds, study modes and levels are included in the Students' Union's decision making? Jamie, then Ross again.
so the first step is for everyone to know me, and I don't mean as in an email. I mean as in I want to meet up with all the PTOs, all like obviously sort of members of leaders of societies, in the way to understand that I need to know exactly what's going on with everyone and what everyone needs. Then, of course, I can build an action plan upon that, but I wouldn't know unless I was able to personally meet with everyone who can represent what is needed.
Grand, thank you. And the same question for you, Ross.
Well, I believe in equality and fairness for every person, which I did stipulate earlier. So similar to what Jamie's saying there, I believe a more face-to-face approach, a personal approach is vital. More so than, I'm not trying to be derogatory at all regarding this, but I would rather meet face-to-face, listen to what everyone has to say, and then respond to that instead of just sending out leaflets and putting badges out, because this is a personal role, and that to me is the best approach, especially being in the role of president.
Grand, thank you. Penultimate question. Wednesday was the 2nd year anniversary of the first UK national lockdown. In that time, universities and unions have utilised alternative methods to delivering education and services. What do you personally believe are the main lessons that UWTSD should take from this change in working, and how do you believe these affect the future? I understand it's a long question, so Ross, when we get to you, if you want me to repeat it, I'm more than happy to do that. Jamie?
One of the main lessons I personally believe is to develop more of an understanding between student and staff. So if you notice, there's been a lot of complaints made by students, but at the same time, they're more struggling with understanding that staff are people too, and they need time off. And because of the extra sort of time they're required to, for example, learn new software and such, like they're quite strung out. So I believe that there should be more communication and more sort of understanding of both sides from UWTSD's point of view.
Grand, thank you. And Ross, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you happy to go?
I'm happy to go. It has been difficult for all of us, the past 2 years in a nutshell. And I can understand that a lot of people are nervous about a phased approach going back into campus and resuming some kind of normality. But everyone has their own individual reasons or issues. But I would encourage that. I think it's important for us to get back to a phased approach of, as human beings, we need to be in contact with each other without being pushy to anybody. But I would encourage that we need to not forget the last 2 years. Always remember the last 2 years as vital, but we've got to move forward as well. And that's what I'm all about, moving forward.
Great, thank you, Ross. Now the last question is, as I promised, a more fun question. You've had some pretty tough questions there. So this one's a bit more relaxed. Tell me, who would be your 3 famous dinner guests of choice? Jamie, then Ross.
Terry Gilliam, Terry Jones, and Eric Idle, because they're all members of Monty Python, and I believe it would be the best laugh of my life.
Grand, thank you, Jamie. And Ross?
Do you know, that is the most difficult question that you could have asked for me personally. Whoa, I think it would have to be based on the people who inspire me. So it would be filmmakers, and I don't expect all the students to know these people, but one would be Hal Hartley. Terry Gilliam was a good one that Jamie mentioned. Yeah, I'll put Terry Gilliam in there as well. Not that I'm trying to, steal some thunder from Jamie there. And the last one, oh, are they going to be alive, have they? Of course they have, yeah. Yeah. You got me there. Third one. Do you know what? I've had a mental blank on this one. This is such a difficult question.
That's absolutely fine.
2 be okay?
2 is absolutely fine. We'll take 2.
Yeah.
Great. So that brings us to an end of the questions for Swansea Campus President. If you guys would like, we'll give you a sort of 45-second closing speech. And again, I'll give you a 5-second notice when it's coming to an end. And as we've done the whole way through, if we go Jamie then Ross, and yeah, I'll give you a 5-second warning when you're coming to an end. So any closing remarks you guys want to make?
I just want to state that if I am to get presidency, I do promise to remain transparent, because I know that a lot of the time when you look at somebody in a certain position, you forget the humane level of it. And I'd like to just remind people that during everything, I have been a struggling student parent, and that I also have my weaknesses as well. And I just want to state that I do promise to be transparent and sort of less corporate and more, an actual human as possible.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And Ross, any final closing statements?
Yeah, I will promise to be approachable to everybody if I get elected as president. And I know how difficult it's been the last 2 years. And I've had my own struggles, and I'm very open to share those with any individual. Another grey area which I'm very susceptible to, and this is where I can be a great listener, is with mental health concerns as well, because I know that has affected a lot of people, and it's a matter that doesn't get talked about too much. So yeah, you can talk to me, I can listen. If you want advice, I can give it to you.
Great, thank you, and thank you to the candidates for Swansea Campus President. I know how difficult it is to be sat where you're sat right now. So congratulations, both of you, and you should both be really proud of yourselves for going through some very rigorous and tough questions. You did yourselves proud, both of you. Well done. Okay, 1 second. Great, so now we're going to go to Swansea part-time officers, and the first one will be Amy. So Jamie, if you don't mind handing your computer over, that'd be grand. Hi Amy. Okay, so Amy is running to be our part-time volunteering and RAG officer. So Amy, I've got some questions for you. But first, you have 45 seconds to sort of pitch yourself to the students.
Hi, I'm Amy. Since the age of 13, I've been really charity orientated because I've always wanted to work, but I couldn't get a job at 13, so I worked in a charity shop, and I just loved fundraising. But then when I saw the other part-time ones, I'm like, I'm really big on mental health because it's affected my family. And then I'm also really big on disabilities, so I was like, which one do I go for? So I went with the level ground. I went for the charity officer because there's loads of different charities, such as Mind to help mental health, and then ones with disabilities. Like at the age of 16, I raised £3,000 off my own back for a girl called Jade, who's now actually learning to walk because she wasn't able to walk all of her life. And I want to bring that to the uni. I want to be able to help people as well as raising money for good things, and it doesn't have to be boring. It could be fun. So that's my main goal, is to make charity and fundraising as fun as possible.
Great, thanks, Amy. So similar to the President's questions, I have some questions for you, and you'll have 45 seconds to answer each question, and then I'll give you a 5-second notice if you're coming towards the end of that. So first question is, what is your main priority if elected into the role?
Mine is just, so, of course, it's all about like volunteering and fundraising, but I also want to interact with students to see like what charities would they like to fundraise for, because I might want to run fundraise for Mind, which is a mental health charity, but then there may be a more personal one towards the students. So talking to and interacting with the students, I can learn what they would rather fundraise for, as well as providing lots of volunteering opportunities for them to make sure they have a good experience too.
Great, thank you. Next question. What skills and experience do you believe you can bring to the role?
Like I've said, since the age of 13, I've done nothing but charity work. I am very passionate about charity, and at the age of 16, I organised my own concert, which I paid £100 for the room hall off my own back, which I know as the uni I won't have to pay for that now. But I've done fundraising for multiple different charities, so I've got a lot of experience with fundraising and volunteering.
Grand, thank you. Next question. What are the challenges that you think you'll face in the next year if you're elected?
From this year being a student voice rep, I've learned that not many students like to interact, and some students are even scared to interact because they're scared their opinion's not going to be like valued. So like Jamie and Ross have said, face-to-face is essential, whereas some students are also scared to be face-to-face. So I like to offer a multi-approach to interact with students to see meet their needs.
Great, thank you. We're flying through these, Amy. I've got 2 more questions for you. The next one is, how do you plan to work with the wider team across the campus and other campuses?
So, of course, I'm not the only part-time officer as the charity one. If I'm raising a charity for mental health, of course, I'd contact the mental health wellbeing officer. And then I'd also contact the student president, as well as like either Ross or Jamie, whoever wins, to see their sort of opinion on the matter, to see who would like to join in. But then I'd like to make posters so everybody knows what's going on, and like constantly like send out emails. Maybe people may not reply, but at least they know what's going on.
Grand, thank you. And next question is a fun question. So we love these. If you won the lottery, what would you buy first?
I wouldn't buy anything actually. I've always said if I won the lottery, I'd put at least half of it away towards my future children, which now, of course, I got a child, I'm holding him. So I'd make sure he had a good education. So I'd put half away, and then I'd probably buy a house so I had that stability in my life instead of renting. So I'd probably do that.
Grand, thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
If we can just take a 2-minute break quickly. Cool, I'm back. We had a technical thing that I needed answers to. It's perfect having union staff right next to me to answer the questions. Hi, Ewan. Pop behind me. Okay, so the next role we have is another Swansea PTO. Let me just check something else. Okay, sorry, I am all over the place today. Amy, you have a 45-second closing statement if you'd like to make one.
Hi. To close, I'd just like to say that I'm thankful that I even got into uni, because I always thought it was going to be a joke, and now to actually be like on the student union board and to represent the students, I'm thankful. So I'd just like to say thank you if you I get elected, and if not, I've enjoyed running as well. So thank you.
Diolch, Amy. Great. So now we're moving on to another full-time officer role. So the next role is the Carmarthen campus president. Do we have Taya here?
Taya's here.
Yep, Taya's here. Perfect. So Taya, I'm going to do something similar approach to Jamie and Ross. You'll have 45 seconds to do a opening speech. I'll let you know when you're coming up to that. I'll give you 5 seconds notice, and then I'll ask you some questions basically from there, and then you'll have a 45-second closing statement at the end. Are you happy to go, Taya?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. So I'm Taya. I'm a third-year sports therapy student in the Carmarthen campus. I'm originally from Cardiff, so originally a big city girl, but I tend to spend the most of the year either in Carmarthen or in St David, so in Pembrokeshire. So I've got a wide variety of experience across Wales. My favourite animal is a giraffe. It's my spirit animal. I'm only 5'4", so I wish I could be 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot. I wish I could be really, really tall sometimes. So a giraffe is my spirit animal. But yeah, that's my little opening statement.
Great, thank you. I think that's the first time I've heard of spirit animals. I love that it's a giraffe. Okay, so I've got some questions for you, and then you'll have 45 seconds to answer, the same as everyone else, and then I'll give you a 5-second warning if you're coming up to that. So the first question is, what is your main priority if elected into the role?
Cool. So my main priority is just student wellbeing. So yeah, my main priority is student wellbeing across the whole of the year. So I'm really, really a big advocate for a student voice. The last 3 years at uni, well, especially the last 2 years at uni, I had no idea what the SU did for students. And then this last year, I've worked with Becky, who is our campus president now, across the year, and seen how much her voice impacts the students and how much students come to her and makes a change. So I really want to continue that role and continue the hard work that Becky's already done, and just keep giving students a voice. I know that every single president would have said it ever, but it's so important to just give students that voice to voice their opinions, their thoughts, how they feel.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
Great, thank you, Taya. Next question is, what skills and experience do you believe you can bring to this role?
So I am a really bubbly character. I'm a super bubbly character. Lots of people say it's really hard to get me to shut up, which I think in this role is an amazing characteristic to have. I don't ever stop talking, so I'm really confident. I'm an honest person. Sometimes I'm a bit too honest, which I think is actually quite a good characteristic to have for this role, because there's no point lying, there's no point having secrecy around things with students. I'm here to be their voice. So yeah, I'm a really bubbly person. I work amazing in teams. I also work amazing solely. I also trip over my own words sometimes. That isn't my best characteristic, but yeah, I'm just really bubbly and happy all the time. So
great, thank you. Next question. What are the challenges that you think you'll face next year if you're elected into the role?
So I think a really big challenge will be not actually getting the student voice across. So I think that uni as a whole is super stressful, and especially I know that the engagement with like third year students might be decreased compared to the engagement with first year students, just because they've got things like exams, dissertations to do. So I really want to work closely across the whole of the 3 years of uni and get people's voices across. And I just think that maybe that might be an issue, is that first year students may have more time on their hands compared to third year students, and third year students may think that there is no point in getting their voice across because they'll be graduating and leaving, but their opinion from the last 3 years at uni is super important. So I think that might be my biggest struggle this year, is just getting people to understand that they still can have an opinion.
Grand, thank you. Next question. What practical steps as campus president will you take to ensure that students of all backgrounds, study modes and levels are included in the Students' Union's decision making?
So I like the idea of sort of things like forums and workshops, and I like to be pestered with emails. So I think that as a student union as a whole in Carmarthen, we can send out lots of different emails with lots of different events that will include lots of different people from different backgrounds. So putting on workshops for things like mental health, putting on workshops for mature students living at uni, putting on workshops just across the whole of the board that will get every single different demographic involved. Yeah, I just think doing things like that would just really help get a massive engagement across the whole of the board of uni.
Grand, thank you. So we are on like the penultimate question. So this one's a tough one, and then we get a fun one straight afterwards. So today is the 2nd year anniversary of the first UK national lockdown. In that time, universities and unions have utilised alternative means of delivering education and services. What do you personally believe are the main lessons that UWTSD should take from this change in working, and how do you believe these affect the future?
I am awfully sorry, but you froze on my screen through that whole question. So could you repeat it?
No worries at all. Yeah, still getting used to Teams even after 2 years of the pandemic. Today is the 2nd year anniversary of the first UK national lockdown. In that time, universities and unions have utilised alternative means of delivering education and services. What do you personally believe are the main lessons that UWTSD should take from this change in working, and how do you believe these affect the future?
Okay, cool. So I think the main lessons and the main changes that we've experienced obviously is coming on to teams and having that blended learning approach. So I think one of the main lessons that I've experienced whilst being at uni is that a blended approach is absolutely fab, especially for people who are studying at uni and working full-time jobs as well. I think a blended approach has been amazing for them, because they've been able to chuck teams on whilst they're doing other things and still being able to give their all to a lesson rather than having to travel all the way to uni. So I think that for the future, a blended learning approach, kind of half on teams, half on campus, will be amazing for the future, especially with technology changing all of the time as well. We all have access to teams now, whereas we may not have had access to get into uni in person before. So I think that as a whole from the pandemic has been one of the most amazing things for university possible.
Grand, thank you. And finally, a fun question, though it might be a difficult one. Who was the first music artist to become your favourite? It can be a group or solo.
So I have a crazy music taste at the moment. I tend to listen to everything, but as a 10-year-old girl, One Direction were my big thing. One Direction was amazing for me, but yeah, so I think One Direction were the first kind of music people I listened to. But my mum would be so annoyed at that answer, because she brought me up listening to Dolly Parton, she brought me up listening to Cher, Celine Dion. So now, maybe 10 years ago, my answer would have been One Direction, but now my answer would have to be Celine Dion, just because it brings a connection to me and my mum. So.
Well, your mother has a great taste in music. Yeah, thank you. Now you have 45 seconds to just do a closing statement. And then after that, we are going to take a 5-minute comfort break. Feel free to go have a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, and then be back in 5 minutes. So, Taya, if you like it, 45 seconds for a closing statement.
Cool. So yeah, as I've said throughout this whole thing, I'm a really, really bubbly character. So I just really want to get people's voice across. I have no shame and I have no annoyance in trying to annoy people and try and get that voice across. I will pester people, but in a nice way, in a professional way. I just really want to get people's voice across. I'm a really super easy person to come and talk to. People can find in me a lot, so I just really want to be that person for the students, somebody they can relate to. That's all I really want for them.
Great, thank you very much. Again, congratulations on getting through that. It's not easy putting yourself out there and answering those questions. So well done. You did yourself proud, and everyone else who's done that too. Great job, guys. We're going to take a 5-minute comfort break, and then after that we will move on to the next lot of questions for the next candidates. So thanks, guys. Back in 5.
Okay, before
And we're back. So the next one we're going to do is student trustee. I believe the only student trustee we have here is Michael, unless Cameron's just shown. No. Okay. So Michael, you're going to have 45 seconds. I almost said 45 minutes. You will not have 45 minutes. You'll have 45 seconds to go through why you want to be a student trustee. I'll give you a 5-second warning, and then I've got a few questions for you, and then you'll have some closing statements to make. Is that okay?
Perfect.
Perfect. Cool. You've got 45 seconds to introduce yourself and give an opening speech, and then we'll go to questions.
Cool. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm Michael. I am a Swansea student studying motorsport engineering. I've done a foundation year as well, so I've been here almost 3 years now. I have Tourette's as well, just so everyone knows. I occasionally tick verbally, physically, don't worry about it, it's all good. Yeah, that's my introduction.
Grand, thank you. If we just go to the questions, then we have the first question we have is, what skills and experience do you believe you can bring to this role?
Perfect, thank you. I've been on a student council in secondary school and in college. I've had experience working with a lot of other people, different age groups, staff, students, all that, and I think that gives me a good experience. I've done a lot of work outside of that. I've done a lot of teamwork in a lot of various fields, working busy cafe environments, rugby environments, stuff like that. Really, a lot of teamwork.
Great, thank you. Next question is, what will you do to ensure that you can fulfill all the requirements and commitments of being a student trustee?
I think I'm easily available. I haven't been a bit late with my manifesto, but it's got my email addresses on it, and anyone's feel free to walk up to me on campus, say anything, because I'm based in Swansea, so I tend to be in quite a bit at the moment, but I want to make sure every student voice is heard and that I'm easily available, because I think it's incredibly important that everyone is heard and that a student voice is heard throughout and the whole process of the student council.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I was swapping between pages, so forgive me that it takes some time to unmute sometimes. Okay, next question. What are the challenges that you think the Students' Union will face in the coming years?
I think the main one will be welcoming students who have been online for the past 2 years to the whole Student Union experience and a lot of the groups and activities that Student Union offers. Because I think a lot of classmates I've known haven't been on campus until this year. So I think promoting and making sure people are aware of events, because I've gone to some events that look amazing, but I feel like not enough people know about them. So I think better advertisement of what's available to students who necessarily haven't been on campus is important.
Great, thank you. And then we're going to end it with a fun question. Okay, which one? Which historic landmark that you have never visited would you most like to visit in the future?
Oh. It's a good question. A lot of these fun ones being good questions that I've struggled with myself. I think the first one that comes to mind is the Great Wall of China. I've seen it a lot online and like in other and like films and stuff like that. It's always interesting to me to see how it actually looks in real life, the whole full length of it. I think it's one of those things you can't really get the scale of, and probably the pyramids in Egypt as well, quite a basic one. But again, it's the scale of things. I'd love to see the actual scale of something, because it's something you can't get online, is the scale of everything, and I think either of those would be great ones to go to.
Perfect, thank you. And then finally, you have 45 seconds for a closing statement. So, floor's yours.
Thank you. I think the main thing is please make sure and go and vote. If it's not for me, that's fine. But any vote will help you understand what you put your voice for who you want to be in the student union. Sorry, that's a bit of a mess, but yeah, if you don't want to vote for me, that'd be great. But just make sure you go out and vote for your student representation.
Diolch yn fawr, Michael. Thank you very much. Okay, 1 second. We're just figuring out some background stuff. So if you could bear with us, that'd be grand.
Could you put
Okay, I have a message to put on. If there are any attendees watching that are meant to be speaking, candidates in the election, can you please get in touch with Student Voice?
elections?
Please can you get in touch with elections, thank you, Ian, so that we can get you in as a presenter. Okay, guys, quick update. We will be going to group president. However, we are waiting for one candidate due to no fault of their own. So what we will be doing is we'll do group president, and then we will take another break. And then at the end of that break, hopefully we'll have the second candidate for group president. So if we can go to group president, Vanessa, I'm going to ask you to do an opening statement, 45 seconds like everyone else. When we get to 5 seconds just before, I'll let you know. Then we'll go through some questions, and then you'll get a closing statement. After the closing statement, we will take that break if the other candidate isn't here. Please stick around for after the break. Okay, Vanessa, floor's yours, 45 seconds.
Hi, good afternoon all. My name is Vanessa Liverpool, and I'm currently undertaking a BA in Leadership and Management at the London campus. I'm a mother of 2 children, and yeah, that's me. That's me for now. Thank you.
Grand, thank you, Vanessa. Okay, so the first question I have for you is, what is your main priority if elected into the role?
My main priority is really to continue to do the work that I'm actually undertaking, because I'm also the group president standing within the Student Union for the academic year 2021-2022. And so it's really continue to have these conversations with the university by enhancing academia, and also creating enhancing the relationship that we didn't have with students in the last 2 years that we've been struggling with in the results of engagement. So yes, that's what I would like to do.
Thank you, Vanessa. Next question. What skills and experience do you believe you can bring to the role?
Communication skills is one of them. You have to communicate quite well with the governing bodies of the Students' Union, the universities, and also student. So you are this middle person who goes back and forth and communicate with both parties each time. So I think communication skills and time management as well. So being a group president, you have to be able to wear several different hats and able to know what to do and when to do them as well. So I think being present within the moment and communicate effectively is one of the skills that I'd like to bring to the Students' Union.
Great, thank you. Next question. What are the challenges that you think you'll face next year?
One of the challenges that I think that I would face next year is in the last 2 years, we haven't been able to engage with students the way in which we would like to. And so to transition students into coming back on campus and opposed to online, and create an environment for those who are not used to it at all, because there are some students who started with the university who's never had an experience about being on campus. And I think that would be a great challenge for myself and any other candidates, actually, rather, to create that environment for students and communicate their voice on a tangible standpoint.
Great, thank you. And then next question is, what practical steps as group president will you take to ensure students of all backgrounds, study modes and levels are included in the Student Union's decision making?
Being a group president has been very, very challenging for me, really, realistically, as I am in office already. And I think embracing the LGBTQ plus and group, embracing the BIM community, embracing the disability, students with disability is something that I think that we need to be really focused on this term. But predominantly, I think mental health with any group at all is something, and well-being is something that we need to really focus on within the Students' Union. Students of various backgrounds are struggling with their assignments, or even just to be around other people as well. And so I think this is something that we should really, really be focusing on right now, moving forward.
Thank you. Next question. Today is the 2nd year anniversary for the first UK national lockdown. In that time, universities and unions have utilised alternative means of delivering education services. What do you personally believe are the main lessons that UWTSD should take from this change in working, and how do you believe these affect the future?
I think the universities need to learn that high flex is possibly the way forward. I also think that it's important that the university understands that, especially with the environment that we have students on campus in London, Birmingham, Cardiff, and they are mature students, and online learning is probably most convenient for them in the last 2 years. It's really important that we understand also that the university has done a great job by doing this transition in supporting students to learn under this unprecedented time. But I think moving forward, giving students the opportunity to be able to learn online as well as on campus is something the university should learn moving forward.
Great, thank you. And now we're going to move on to a fun question that seemed to have been the hardest questions of all. So good luck. Which one? If I could give you, or whoever you want, to come with you tickets to any event in the future or in the past, which event would that be?
I would like Gavin Williams to come onto the governance board with us, listening to students of what they really want for their experience at the university and academic life, in the aspects of how much money we need to spend to pay for education and everything else that comes with it. I would like him to really sit there and listen to students, not just behind his office, but listen to students as presidents and student voice and everyone else at the Students' Union is having to deal with this communication back and forth. I would like that.
Great, thank you. You now have 45 seconds closing statement, and I'll let you know when you're coming up to the end if you start to use up the time.
Sure, thank you. So what I would like to say, if I'm elected again, I'll continue to prioritize the community by enhancing academia while ensuring that skills are being developed, and so that, for example, employability is really tangible for students, because a lot of UWTSD students are, at least I would say 50% are mature students, and they don't know where to turn to once they leave university or once they graduated. So employability would be one of the top of my list, providing internship and placement for these students who has families and children and other commitments. Also, having a back and forth, like, student reporting to student feedback to university in order to enhance student experience. This is something I would like to do. I already sit on several committee, for example, institute boards, and I aim to grow this transparent communication.
5 seconds.
Oops. with students. So I would like you to vote for me, but obviously vote for the voice that you want to see and the change that you would like to see.
That's
Thank
fine,
you.
Vanessa. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we are going to go on a quick break. Let me just check. We are going to go on a quick break, but before we go on a break, I just want to run through the candidates for the election again, and I urge everyone to please read their manifestos and please vote. So if I just go through the list of people we've got running from Swansea and Carmarthen and across campus. So for Swansea Campus President, we have James Vaughan and Ross Shattuck. For volunteering and RAG, we have Amy Knight. For Carmarthen Campus President, we have Taya George Gibbons. For Black Students Officer in Carmarthen, part-time officer position, we have Claire Mugabo. Wellbeing Officer, we have Lowry Wilson. Cross-campus roles, we have for Student Trustee, Michael Curtis and Cameron Reardon Davis. For Union Chairperson, we have Dima Suarez, Linda Violet Peters, Margarita Mandolva, Maria Michael, Mihail Milkchov and Nikola Charkachev. For Group President, we have Rebecca Palmer and Vanessa Liverpool. And as Ewan keeps reminding me, in all of these elections, there is also the option of RON. This means to reopen nominations. If you don't feel like the candidates are candidates that you want to vote for, you can vote for reopen nominations, which will restart the election process and allow for others to nominate themselves into the election. So don't forget about RON if you feel like that's what you need to do. So we're going to take a 15-minute comfort break, and hopefully we can hear from other candidates. So please be back in 15 minutes, and please make sure that you're reading manifestos, that you're looking at what the elections are all about. There'll be pop-up stands all over the university, and yeah, there'll be pop-up stands all over the university. So there'll be options to speak to staff at any point, and try and get students to vote. Just a gentle reminder that if you are campaigning next week out in person, please do not campaign near the pop-up stands. So that's it, 15-minute break, and then we'll be back and hopefully hearing from other candidates. Diolch yn fawr everyone, and see you in 15 minutes. welcome, Rebecca.
Hello.
Hello. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the questions for Group President for you. And do we have any other candidates that have shown you in?
No.
No. So what we'll do is we'll go through the roles of Group President. Huh? Yeah. So we'll go through the roles of Group President. Vanessa spoke before the break, so it'll just be you, Rebecca, and then if any other candidates show up during that time, we'll give them the space as well. And then at the end of it, I will go through the candidate list one more time and give another spiel about how everyone should be promoting democracy, because democracy is cool, guys. Right, okay. So, Rebecca, you've got 45 seconds to do an opening statement. I'll let you know when we get to 40 seconds to give you some time.
Okay. So as Liam said, I'm Rebecca. I'm running for the Group President role. I'm not with it. Basically, you'll be able to find my manifesto shortly, which will say pretty much everything that I'm hoping to do if I was elected.
Great, thank you, Rebecca. So we're going to go through some questions. You'll have 45 seconds to answer each question, and I'll give you a 5-second warning when you're coming to the end of that. You don't need to use up all the time, completely up to you. Okay, so the first question, what is your main priority if elected into the role?
My main priority would be mental health. It is a strong subject personally, and I just feel that there could be more done on a out of hours as well as in hours basis.
Great, thank you. Next question, what skills and experience do you believe you can bring to this role?
I have been involved with the Students' Union for a number of years. I've been the part-time officer for students with disabilities. I've been the part-time officer for postgraduate students, as well as 3 years running elected as NUS Wales and NUS UK delegate. So I have experience in the democracy from campus to national side, and I'm able to take those ideas on board and try and bring them to action.
Great, thank you. Next question, what are the challenges that you think that you'll face next year if you're elected?
Challenges would be probably trying to re-engage students post pandemic, because this current year, for example, they have started to reintegrate things, but I do believe the forthcoming academic year will be the first year where we should be fully back to pre-pandemic roles. So trying to integrate people and ensuring that all students, regardless of their status, are aware that they can get involved in the union.
Great, thank you. This one's a bit of a longer question. If at any point you need me to repeat the questions, please do let me know. What practical steps as Group President will you take to ensure that all students of all backgrounds, study modes and levels are included in student union decision making?
I can link this from a personal perspective. I am currently a part-time student who is within the Disabilities Liberation Group, and I would ensure that regardless of your individual status, that everyone knows all of the details for your appropriate campus, so you can get involved, whether it's a virtual basis or in person.
Great, thank you. Next question. We've just had the 2nd year anniversary of the first UK national lockdown. In that time, universities and unions have utilised alternative means to delivering education and services. What do you personally believe are the main lessons that UWTSD should take from this change in working, and how do you believe these affect the future?
Personally, I've not really been that involved with how things have been run during the pandemic, so I'm not too sure on that front, but any viewpoints that people have brought forward in regards to how lockdown has been run, we would discuss thoroughly and ensure any relevant changes are taken on board.
Great, thank you. And now we've moved on to the fun question that some people have found the most difficult of all the questions. Okay, so if I could give you, or whoever you want to come with you, tickets to any event in the future or in the past, what would it be?
Oh, I'd love to repeat the Jason Derulo concert. I went with my friend up in Cardiff. We did an overnight stay, so we went to the concert. Halfway up to the destination, she realised she hadn't brought the tickets, so we had to turn around and go to her house and then go back. But then we got to go to the concert and then shopping the next day. So I'd redo that.
Great, thank you. And the final thing is a 45-second closing statement from yourself. Anything else that you'd like to add, basically?
I will add that I am away as part of the NUS National Conference for part of next week, so a lot of my campaigning will be virtual, but if anyone has any questions in regards to my campaign, please get in touch via my details, which I believe I've put onto my manifesto.
Great, thank you. Diolch yn fawr. I know how difficult it is to be asked those questions and have the platform, so you should be proud of yourself. You did well. Okay, so now I'm just going to check. Do we have any other candidates here? No. Okay, so I'm going to go through the list of candidates again, and then after that we will end. So bear with me, I am flipping through screens. Okay, so for Swansea Campus President, we have Jamie Vaughan and Ross Shattuck. For Swansea Part-Time Officers, for Volunteering and RAG Officer, we have Amy Knight. For Carmarthen Campus President, we have Taya George Gibbons. For Carmarthen Part-Time Officers, for Black Students Officer, we have Claire Mugabo. For Wellbeing Officer, Laurie Wilson. For Cross-Campus roles, for Student Trustee, we have Michael Curtis and Cameron Reardon-Davis. For Union Chairperson, we have Derma Suarez, Linda Violet Peters, Margarita Malduva, Maria Michael, Mihail Mikov, and Nikola Karkachev. For Group President, we have Rebecca Palmer and Vanessa Liverpool. I'd like to thank all the candidates today for coming here and answering questions. It is extremely difficult to take the stage and put yourself out. And I know better than most what elections can be like, so please do look after yourselves, take care of yourselves, make sure that you're not constantly on social media checking likes, dislikes, that kind of thing. Just take care of yourselves and look after yourselves. Remember that voting opens on Monday. For any students watching, there will be pop-ups up and down our campuses. Feel free to go to the pop-up and ask any questions. The members of staff working there will be completely independent from the election themselves and won't be obviously supporting any candidates, so they'll give you straightforward answers to questions. Can I ask that candidates next week avoid campaigning near those pop-up stands, just to ensure the integrity of the pop-up stands. So thank you very much, guys, and thank you to all the candidates for some amazing campaigns, and have fun next week. Just enjoy it. Have a great day, guys. Diolch yn fawr.